please be aware that the first hour and a half of this meeting will be recorded so that we can put it onto our website, our podcast, and our YouTube channel. We record in audio only. Feel free to use the podcast on your website, or feel free to use the podcast on our website along with your big book as a resource if you missed the study portion of the meeting. And the study portion is also listed on the website so that you can follow along. And tonight we start a new chapter. We will screen share and read the blue page, which will tell us some history on the chapter. And then the study will begin on page XXV at the beginning of the doctor's opinion, and will end at the bottom of page XXVI where it says cannot otherwise account. Do we have any announcements? Yes, we do.
Hi, family.
Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
We ended up bumping group conscience last night, so we will have group conscience this coming Monday, the first Monday in August, on the 4th. So that will be at this same time in this room for anyone who is interested in joining. Anyone who's interested in the group is welcome to attend, but only home group members of record are eligible to vote. Your turn.
And then assembly will be coming up August 14th, 15th, and 16th, or 15th through the 17th, middle of the month. And I will be there, so while I cannot carry your voice as GSR, I can speak for the will of the group as DCM. So that's it. Good evening, family. My name is Jamie. Very grateful recovered alcoholic, and welcome to the Lewisburg Primary Purpose Big Book Study Group. To prepare for our Big Book study, let's get focused by having a 3-minute moment of meditation followed by our family spotlight prayer.
And I'm a recovered alcoholic. My name is Trish. Thanks for joining us tonight. We're going to start the meditation in a minute, so please take a moment to get situated.
Please be aware of background noises when you are unmuted, and sharing is to not distract others or yourself. We suggest we all observe proper Zoom etiquette. If you wouldn't do it in a live meeting, please don't do it here. A friendly reminder, absence of profanity offends no one. Please keep yourself muted during someone else's share, and we will call on you in the order that hands are raised.
From the forward to the first edition of Alcoholics Anonymous. We of Alcoholics Anonymous are many thousands of men and women who have recovered from a seemingly hopeless state of mind and body. To show other alcoholics precisely how we have recovered is the main purpose of this book and of this group.
For the meditation, some suggestions are focus on your breath and posture, and breathe in God and breathe out self.
Take this time to reconnect with God, let the craziness of the day drift away, and ask God to help you focus on the study.
And let's invite the monks in to do what the monks do so well, and enjoy your time with God, folks, and we will see you on the other side. And for those of you who wish, please join us in our family's fog light prayer. God, let your love shine through us like a fog light, so that those that are lost, sick, and dying can find your love through us. Amen.
And let's have our secretary's report. Come on in, Donald.
Hey, good evening, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Donald, and I am also the Gandalf the Red Pickle, and I am your recovered alcoholic secretary. And I asked Miss Terry to read the recovered statement. We read this notice to explain why many people in this group identify as recovered instead of recovering. Excuse me. And what it means exactly to be a recovered alcoholic. Take it away, Miss Terry.
Good evening. I'm Pickle Chip, Miss Terry, aka Pickle Chip, recovered alcoholic. Recovered, we are not cured of alcoholism. Recovered but not cured, that presents a conflict to some alcoholics. If we were cured, we would be able to drink responsibly. No, we are not cured. The allergic reaction to alcohol will remain with us for a lifetime. But we have been restored to sanity. That was the problem. The main problem of the alcoholic centers in his mind rather than in his body. Page 23 of the Big Book. We are now sane where alcohol is concerned. Consequently, we have recovered.
Awesome. Thank you very much. You did such a wonderful job. And thank you for joining us tonight. We meet every Tuesday starting at 5:30 p.m. Central Time with the Gerbil Fellowship Cage, where we chatter for about an hour before the start of the meeting. Feel free to bring some side dishes to share with the buzzards. Our Big Book study starts promptly at 6:30 p.m. Central Time, and we ask that you be courteous and be ready to begin at the sound of the foghorn. We take our Big Book study seriously. Because of this, chat will be disabled during the study. In the 1940s, when the only element to sobriety were God, a Big Book, and one recovered alcoholic working with an untreated alcoholic, the success rate was as follows. From the foreword to the second edition of Alcoholics Anonymous, page XX, of alcoholics who came to AA and really tried, 50% got sober at once and remained that way. 25% sobered up after some relapse, and the remainder, those who stayed on with AA, showed improvement. Can we have a show of hands of people who are joining us for the first time?
We have Kit
Welcome.
Kat and Devin. Welcome, welcome. Glad to have you with
Welcome.
us.
Yes. Okay. And all the recovered alcoholics? Guess what? These are your potential sponsors. Is anybody celebrating a milestone this week?
I know somebody is.
I know somebody is too.
You also have Kit Kat with a milestone.
Serena, there you go.
Woohoo! They both have that one.
That's beautiful. Thank you.
You're welcome. And Kit Kat, you get the same one?
Color.
Same for you, Kit Kat?
Yeah, I have. Sorry, I didn't know I could unmute myself. I have 64 days today.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Congratulations, guys.
Congratulations.
Keep it
Yeah.
having.
All right. If you should require a Big Book of your own, we have large print editions available that can be sent to you through the buzzard mail. Delivery time is questionable because it is snail mail. And please remember to practice our seventh tradition by donating to the group address, Venmo or PayPal posted in the chat and on the screen. Our suggestion is to purchase a Big Book and take take an untreated alcoholic through the program of recovery. Please visit our website, posted in the chat. Thank you, and we'll see you next week. Love you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Donald and Terry, for your service, and congratulations, Serena and Kit Kat, on your 60-plus days. From Chapter 2, there is a solution. The tremendous fact for every one of us is that we've discovered a common solution. We have a way out on which we can absolutely agree and upon which we can join in brotherly and harmonious action. This is great news this book carries to those who suffer from alcoholism.
This is an open meeting, and as such, all who have an interest in alcoholism and our program of recovery are welcome. Because this is an open meeting, you need not identify yourself nor your reason for being here if you do not wish to do so. Your anonymity will be protected. We ask that you protect ours.
While this is an open meeting, membership in this group is limited to those who wish to recover from alcoholism and have a desire to stop drinking for good and all. Each member of Alcoholics Anonymous is a potential sponsor of a new member and should clearly recognize the obligations and duties of such a responsibility.
Before we begin our study of the Big Book, last week we reviewed Tradition 2. Tonight, let's take a quick look at Tradition 3. Please refer to page 562 of our book, Alcoholics Anonymous. And come on in, Art.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Art. I'm a grateful recovered alcoholic. And this week we're looking at Tradition 3. In the short form, it reads, the only requirement for AA membership is a desire to stop drinking. And then the long form expands on that a bit. It says our membership ought to include all who suffer from alcoholism. Hence, we may refuse none who wish to recover, nor ought AA membership ever depend upon money or conformity. Any 2 or 3 alcoholics gathered together for sobriety may call themselves an AA group, provided that, as a group, they have no other affiliation. And that's really quite self-explanatory, but this is one of those traditions that is very dear to me, because when I was first introduced to Alcoholics Anonymous, I didn't meet the requirements for membership. I had no desire to get sober or to stop drinking, and I had no intention of doing so. And as a result, I didn't. And it was several years later before I had enough and was able to surrender to this program and say, okay, I'm an alcoholic, and I want to stop drinking. And that's the only thing that is required to become a member. And you know, we used to say in my original home group, you're a member of Alcoholics Anonymous when you say you are. But if you want to be a member of this group, you fill out one of those cards in the back of the room, and you become a member. That's all it takes. And it's pretty much the same in this group. You know, you just have to tell somebody you want to be make this group your home group, and it's done. And to expand on that a little bit, it ensures that nobody can be turned away. And even though sometimes we try to make rules and membership requirements other than this third tradition, and usually doesn't work out real well. Sometimes it's necessary to ask people to go elsewhere because can't tolerate the behavior that's going on. Some groups will say, you know, if you've been drinking today, don't try to share. And other groups will tell people that if you've been drinking today, you're not welcome here. And that's totally in violation of this tradition. Because after all, we all came here because we had a problem that we didn't know how to solve. And that being alcoholism. Many of us get here not even knowing what's wrong with us. It took me a while to learn that alcoholism is what was my problem. And to identify and to define what it takes to be an alcoholic. This week we're starting on the doctor's opinion, and it gives us a very very clear and easily understood way of looking at what our disease is all about. And if we turn people away because they're drunk, you know, if something like that were to happen to me in my early commitment to this program, I probably would have left and never came back. You know, sometimes you hear people saying, telling people that you're wasting your time to talk to somebody when they're under the influence. And I beg to differ with that, because had it not been for my sponsor being willing to talk to me when I was drunk, I probably would have taken several more months or maybe years to get here. And so I talk to many people anytime, anywhere, any way that, whatever, if they're interested in learning a way to recover, I will talk to them. Now, there is a caveat there in the long form of the tradition that says, see, let me find it real quick here. We may refuse none who wish to recover from alcoholism. Now, I'm not the one who judges whether or not they want to recover from alcoholism. Everybody gets to decide that for themselves. But there sometimes are cases where it becomes obvious that the person that we're dealing with is not really serious about getting sober. They just want to hang out. And as long as they're not disrupting the meetings, that's fine. But if they become disruptive, then it's it's appropriate to ask them to leave, especially if they've been around and been hanging around AA for some period of time and still unable to grasp the idea of what sobriety means. Anyway, that's enough from on that, and turn it back to whoever it is that's taking it now. Thank you.
Thank you, Art. Thank you for your service tonight. Now it's time for our weekly segment of That Ain't in the Book. We hear a lot of stuff said in the program that cannot be reconciled with the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous. One of those things we often hear is there are no musts in the book. So Kenny is going to come in and share with us one of the musts on page 93 in the third paragraph. Come on in, Kenny. You're muted. You'll have to unmute. Kenny, you're muted.
Yeah, good evening, everyone. Kenny, recovered alcoholic. If he is to find God, the desire must come from within.
Thank you, Kenny. As we study, please make use of the pens, highlighters, and rulers so that you can share this experience with another alcoholic.
In order for us to stay focused as we study the Big Book, we use the Big Book Study Guide prepared by Joe and Charlie and Krusty Cliff of the Dallas Primary Purpose Group.
Tonight, we have no recap because we're starting a new chapter, so we will share the blue page, and that will be read, and that'll give us a little bit of history on the chapter. And then the study will begin on page XXV at the beginning of the doctor's opinion, and that will end on page XXVI, and that will be read for us tonight by Serena. And
After the page is read, we will ask questions from the imaginary podium, starting back at our study portion where Serena begins to read tonight. The answers will be one sentence unless otherwise specified. And multi-part questions are simply one sentence answers split up by commas, semicolons, hyphens, and other fun bits of punctuation.
basically, in English, what that means is we're going to read the material once through and then dissect the information a second time through the question and answer format. Notice how the language in the questions gives us a new light in which to consider the study material.
This is important because hearing the question and rereading the content offers a definite way of comprehending the material covered. After we've completed the study, we open up for comment, questions, observations based on what was just read. And if you've had a spiritual experience with this information, please, by all means, feel free to share. Please keep your share on topic and under 5 minutes. At the 5-minute mark, you will hear a timer beep to let you know that your time is finished.
However, Big Book study is not therapy. Should you begin sharing on topics which are more appropriately discussed in a different setting, for example, with a sponsor, please do not be offended when we cut that conversation short and send the buzzards nipping at your heels. For that purpose, we have fellowship meetings before and after our study time.
You can never go wrong by commenting on the pages studied, which brings us to the words of one of the co-founders of Alcoholics Anonymous. Sobriety, freedom from alcohol through the teaching and practice of the 12 steps is the sole purpose of any Alcoholics Anonymous group.
And how did we get here? We didn't just randomly open the book and say, this is what we're going to study tonight. This is a 96-week study because we're expanding the traditions a little bit. And we start on the cover page where we see our first tradition, how many thousands of men and women have recovered from alcoholism. And we read through this question and answer process line by line, through the preface, through the forewords, through the Roman numbers, and all the way up to page 164. We read line by line and we study it and we learn together. After we get to page 164, we then also read through Dr. Bob's Nightmare and the traditions, and then we close out week 96 by reading Appendix 2, the spiritual experience. And then we circle back and do it all over again. And we are now in our 4th time through the book. We're pretty close to the beginning right now. And we're in our 5th year of being a group. So welcome to everyone. Welcome back to some of you. And I hope you keep coming back and keep learning with us.
Thank you, Trish. You did that so well, and that was just strategically placed there, so you'd have to do that segment. And before we go into the blue page tonight, and again, you won't see this information in your book. It comes from our study guide. We will need 5 or 6 hands raised for those of you who would like to be answer readers, and Kenny's going to jump right in there, which is wonderful, and so is Linda. Thank you. So 4 more would be good. And I am going to do screen share, and Trish is going to read this page for us and introduce us to this chapter.
Thank you. And again, everybody, I'm Trish and I'm an alcoholic, and we are on week 5. And we are starting the chapter, The Doctor's Opinion. The Doctor's Opinion was written by William D. Silkworth, M.D. To many recovered alcoholics, this section of the Big Book is considered to be the most important, as it describes alcoholism in terms that make sense to the real alcoholic. From this description, the alcoholic learns the exact nature of the disease of alcoholism and how hopeless this condition of mind and body seems to be. We are told why we are unable to control the amount we drink once we have taken the first few drinks. But most important, we are told why it is we cannot manage our decision to not take the first drink once we have made a firm decision, pledge, vow, promise, etc., to never drink again. Dr. Silkworth was trained in neurology and lost his practice as the result of the stock market crash of 1929. He met Charlie Towns at Towns Hospital, which specialized in the treatment of alcoholics and drug addicts. Dr. Silkworth accepted a position and a stipend of $40 a week. His plans were to re-enter private practice when he could afford to do so, but the time never came. He devoted his entire career to a practice of helping alcoholics. Many thousands of alcoholics were directed to Alcoholics Anonymous because of his faith in our way of life. Without Dr. Silkworth's opinion of alcoholism, Alcoholics Anonymous would not have happened. It is only when we clearly understand a problem that we may be able to find a solution. Bill W. understood the hopelessness of his alcoholism from Dr. Silkworth's opinion. Dr. Bob understood the hopelessness of his alcoholism after Bill W. explained Dr. Silkworth's opinions to him. If an alcoholic really wants to stop drinking for good and all, he must fully concede to his innermost self that he has a hopeless condition of mind, body, and spirit. This is the first step in recovery, and the doctor's opinion gives us the knowledge necessary to surrender to the truth. Very simply, from this section of the Big Book, we learn why it is that the real alcoholic has a body that can never get enough alcohol and a mind that will not let the alcoholic leave it alone.
Thank you, Trish. And Serena is going to come in and read our study portion. There again, for those of you who are just joining us, we don't do this in screen share, but if you have your Big Book, we're starting in the Doctor's Opinion on page XXV, and we are going to go to, I think it's XXVI, yes, and that's where we'll go to tonight. So please feel free to follow along. Welcome, Serena. Glad to have you.
Thank you. Thank you for letting me read. I'm Serena, and I'm an alcoholic. Yes, and when do I stop reading, dear?
It will be on page XXVI, and it's going to, the last line will be, it explains many things for which we cannot otherwise account.
Okay.
About a page and a half.
About a page and a half or so? Okay. All right, well, just let me know. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. The doctor's opinion. We of Alcoholics Anonymous believe that the reader will be interested in the medical estimate of the plan of recovery described in this book. Convincing testimony must surely come from medical men who have had experience with the sufferings of our members and have witnessed our return to health. A well-known doctor, chief physician at a nationally prominent hospital specializing in alcoholic and drug addiction, gave Alcoholics Anonymous this letter. To whom it may concern, I have specialized in the treatment of alcoholism for many years. In late 1934, I attended a patient who, though he had been a competent businessman of good earning capacity, was an alcoholic of a type I had come to regard as hopeless. In the course of his third treatment, he acquired certain ideas concerning a possible means of recovery. As part of his rehabilitation, he commenced to present his conceptions to other alcoholics, impressing upon them that they must do likewise with still others. This has become the basis of a rapidly growing fellowship of these men and their families. This man and over 100 others appeared to have recovered. I personally know scores of cases who were of the type with whom other methods had failed completely. These facts appear to be of extreme medical importance because of the extraordinary possibilities of rapid growth inherent in this group. They might mark a new epoch in the annals of alcoholism. These men may well have a remedy for thousands of such situations. You may rely absolutely on anything they say about themselves. The physician who, at our request, gave us the letter has been kind enough to enlarge upon his views in another statement which follows. In this statement, he confirms that we who have suffered alcoholic torture must believe that the body of the alcoholic is quite as abnormal as his mind. It did not satisfy us to be told that we could not control our drinking just because we were maladjusted to life, that we were in full flight from reality, or were outright mental defectives. These things were true to some extent, in fact, to a considerable extent with some of us. But we are sure that our bodies were sickened as well. In our belief, any picture of the alcoholic which leaves out this physical factor is incomplete. The doctor's theory that we have an allergy to alcohol interests us. As laymen, our opinion as to its soundness may, of course, mean little. But as ex-problem drinkers, we can say that his explanation makes good sense. It explains many things for which we cannot otherwise account.
Perfect. Thank you so much for your service tonight.
Thank you for letting me read.
See what happens at 68 days sober? It's a miracle. Thank you, Serena. And our batting order tonight for questions is going to be Kenny, Linda, Pinky, William, Nancy, and Susan. So if you can all unmute yourselves, please. Alyssa's got kids going on, so she will at the appropriate time. So, Kenny, we are kicking it off with you, sir. Question: what do we of Alcoholics Anonymous believe about this book?
We of Alcoholics Anonymous believe that the reader will be interested in the medical estimate of the plan of recovery described in this book.
Thank you so much. And Linda, good evening, young lady. Good to have you with us tonight. Your question is, what is the source of convincing testimony in this book?
Convincing testimony must surely come from medical men who have had experience with the sufferings of our members and have witnessed our return to health.
Thank you. And hi, Alyssa. You get a two-part question. A, who gave Alcoholics Anonymous this opinion of alcoholism? And B, what was his position?
A well-known doctor, chief physician at a nationally prominent hospital specializing in alcohol and drug addiction, gave Alcoholics Anonymous this letter.
Thank you so much. And William, good to see you, my friend. And your question is, what was Dr. Silkworth's specialty?
To whom it may concern, I have specialized in the treatment of alcoholism for many years.
Thank you kindly, sir. And Nancy, how did Dr. Silkworth describe the patient Bill W. he attended in 1934?
In late 1934, I attended a patient who, though he had been a competent businessman of good earning capacity, was an alcoholic of a type I have come to regard as hopeless.
Thank you. And Susan, welcome. And your question is, what happened during Bill's third course of treatment?
In the course of his third treatment, he acquired certain ideas concerning a possible means of recovery.
Thank you. And right back to the top with you, Kenny. As part of Bill's recovery, what did he try to impress upon other alcoholics?
As part of his rehabilitation, he commenced to present his conception to other alcoholics, impressing upon them that they must do likewise with still others.
Thank you. And Miss Linda, his work was the basis for what?
This has become the basis of a rapidly growing fellowship of these men and their families.
Thank you. And Alyssa, how many did Dr. Silkworth say had recovered by 1939?
This man and over 100 others appear to have recovered.
And we have one more question before Trish will come in with a comment. So William, the question comes to you. How many did Dr. Silkworth know from his personal experience?
I personally know scores of cases who were of the type with whom other methods had failed completely.
Thank you.
And my one comment for this evening, in the original draft of the Big Book, Dr. Silkworth said, I personally know of 30 of these cases who were the type with whom other methods had failed completely. He was willing to stake his reputation on these 30 hopeless cases that he saw recover, as Bill did in Towns Hospital. The other 60 plus recovered alcoholics were in Akron or Cleveland.
Thank you so much, Trish. And Nancy, coming to you. Why do these facts seem to be of extreme medical importance?
These facts appear to be of extreme medical importance because of the extraordinary possibilities, rapid growth inherent in this group. They may mark an new epoch in the annals of alcoholism.
Thank you. And Susan, did Dr. Silkworth believe this program worked for many others?
These men may well have a remedy for thousands of such situations.
Thank you. And Kenny, coming back to the top, did Dr. Silkworth have complete confidence in recovered alcoholics?
You may rely absolutely on anything they say about themselves. Very truly yours, Dr. William W. D. Silkworth.
Thank you. And Linda, what did the authors of the book request of Dr. Silkworth?
The physician who, at our request, gave us this letter has been kind enough to enlarge upon his views and another statement which follows.
Thank you. And Pinky, in Dr. Silkworth's enlarged statement, what fact does he confirm that the suffering alcoholics must believe?
In this statement, he confirms what we who have suffered alcoholic torture must believe, that the body of the alcoholic is quite as abnormal as the mind.
Thank you. And William, what didn't satisfy us?
It did not satisfy us to be told that we could not control our drinking just because we were maladjusted to life.
Keep going. One more sentence.
Okay, I got you. That we were in full flight from reality or was outright mental defect.
Thank you. And Nancy, was there any truth in them?
These things were true to some extent. In fact, to a considerable extent with some of us.
Thank you. And Susan, of what are we sure?
We are sure that our bodies were sickened as well.
Thank you. Kenny, coming back to you, sir. What must be included to make the picture of alcoholism a complete?
In our belief, any picture of the alcoholic which leaves out this physical factor is incomplete.
Thank you. Miss Linda, what part of the doctor's theory is of interest to alcoholics?
The doctor's theory that we have an allergy to alcohol interests us.
Thank you. And Pinky, coming back to you, is our opinion considered to be valuable?
As laymen, our opinion as to its soundness may, of course, mean little.
Thank you. William, as ex-problem drinkers, what is the theory, what of this theory interests us?
But as ex-problem drinkers, we can say that this explanation makes good sense.
Thank you. And Nancy, you get the final question tonight, going to our own hand-rolled pickle. What does it do for us?
It explains many things for which makes good sense. No, it explains many things for which we cannot otherwise account.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. And you can all remute yourselves. And okay, ladies and gentlemen, the meeting is now open for questions, comments, observation, experience with the doctor's opinion. Spiritual experience. Do you take someone through the doctor's opinion when you're doing 12-step work with them? And the floor is open, so feel free to raise your hand. Oh my God, everybody's gun shy tonight. Come on in, Serena, welcome.
Okay.
Hi, Serena, and I'm still an alcoholic. So I just wanted to say that this part is so important to me. Although I haven't gotten much through the book yet, this blows my mind. And why I like it so much is that it helps me not to be so darn hard on myself. Because my God, I mean, why am I sucking down alcohol like a big, huge truck sucks down gas? Why? What in the heck was happening there? And I realized very easily, honestly, well, no, I'm not easily. I'm realizing that there was some mental and emotional things going on, of course, right? I think that we know that, but it really, really helps me to add this physical component for me. So I guess I'm just very appreciative of these, of the doctor, just very appreciative, and I guess that's about it. It just makes a hell of a lot of more sense to me, so that's about it. Thanks, you guys.
Thank you, Serena. And that's why, being newly sober, I thought this was a great place for you to start tonight as readings. Thank you again for your service. William, come on in.
Thank you so much. My name is William Alcoholic, and thanks everybody for being here helping me stay sober tonight. And whenever I read this, something like this coming out of the big book and was written in 1939, I get instant gratification, because I was clueless about what was going on with me when I was out there in the grips of alcoholism. And I thank God for bringing me someplace where I could get humble enough to be teachable, because it wasn't like that when I first walked in the doors of Alcoholics Anonymous. And I remember when I was drinking, and I had access to medical coverage for Vietnam veteran, and I had a whole lot of access to stuff. But one thing I learned about since I've been in Alcoholics Anonymous, I couldn't get honest about what was wrong with me, and I never thought it was alcoholism. And one day I came in, when I heard other people share, and they kept repetition sharing the same thing, I thought that was so immature. Some was not necessarily wasn't good for me, But as I stayed and began to hear these things, and then began to see that in 1934, when Dr. Bob came out and explained it to Bill, and Bill impressed on others and say, you must give this, and that was the cue to alcoholism. Really give back what was so freely given to me, And thank God for the sponsor that I got whenever I came into Alcoholics Anonymous. God put all the right people in my life for me to be here today, And my sponsor never told me that I didn't have nothing to give. My sponsor said, if you got one day sober, say hello to somebody. Tell them where the bathroom is. Make them a cup of coffee, I wasn't feeling none of that. I was not feeling none of that. They told me to practice, 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 things like that. I remember they used to say, how do you get to Carnegie Hall? Practice, practice, practice. So there at a time I began to join that, and I began to feel that, and I thank God for that, one thing that the old time Joker said, the longest distance an alcoholic ever have to travel is from his head to his heart, And today I can truly say that I feel and I believe what I see, because I'm living proof myself. Since I've been sober, I have alcohol, and a lot of stuff went on in my life. I never had the necessary save, never get greatness behind it, I got up, just like they told me to salute for alcoholism, trying to do that. So I thank God for Bill. I thank God for Dr. Bob, all the people that came along before me to lay this out so I could be here for me, Today, I'm going to tell you, when I first got to Alcoholics Anonymous, and I began to get some information about what was wrong with me, and every time they read how it worked, they said grave emotion mental disorder. So I categorize myself as that type of alcoholic that had done so much damage that could nothing happen to me. But I tell you, I underestimate the power of this program. I underestimate God of that. And that part that we were in flight from reality, I should look at that all the time as I began to get sober, see how far off I was. You couldn't tell me that when I was drinking. You couldn't tell me that. I had to come from another alcoholic. So I'm grateful to be here tonight. And thank you. And I'll keep coming as long as God allows me to. Thank you.
Thank you, brother. And we'll keep showing up so that you got a place to come as long as God allows us to. Linda, come on in. Welcome.
I love my friends down here.
Hi, my name is Linda. I'm an alcoholic. I love the doctor's opinion. I love it. I haven't used this when I go through the 12 and 12, but I do go through There's a Solution. But thank you for saying that. Do you use this when you go taking the newcomer through the 12 steps? So that's very good. So now I know I'm going to start with this doctor's opinion. And in it, it says it right here. It says that the body of the alcoholic is quite as abnormal as his mind. And then it says that we were in full flight from reality or were outright mental defects. And this is what they talk about alcoholics being delusional. You have a problem. You're at the bottom, and you're getting into all kinds of trouble, but you still keep doing it over and over. That's a mental defect, definitely. And yes, a doctor would go ahead and they would, diagnose you as that. I remember when one of my kids was in the hospital, and there was a psychiatrist talking. He was off, but he was talking about another patient, and he said we put people in different categories. Um, like if murder is committed, was it okay? Was it? I hope I think my internet it's getting kind of spotty, so I might cut off. Anyway, he said we put people in different categories. Was it self-defense? Was it out of passion? Was it out of anger? Or was it out of pleasure? And he said when it gets to that point of when it was out of pleasure that they just felt like doing it, he said that's when we categorize them as being evil, pure evil. And I didn't know that. I didn't know that psychiatrists, they put people in different categories, like pure evil. And I guess they would. They would put us people that are in recovery, they put us in in different categories as well. Because it's a mental peculiar twist. Why? Why is this person in denial? And it talks in here about, us not admitting it too. We're not going to admit it. We're just not. We just don't think we're that bad. And one thing that I noticed when a newcomer, oh, I want you to sponsor me. And I said, let's have a talk before I sponsor you. Because I need to know where this person's head is at. So I need to know what approach to take with them, what direction to go in with them, if they are willing or if they're not willing, And one lady said, yeah, well, the last person that was sponsoring me, they said, well, maybe you're not an alcoholic. And they suggested that I find another sponsor. And then they wanted to keep, criticizing that other sponsor. And I just listened. I listened and I listened and I listened. And I understood what it was about. That person was speaking the truth to them, and they didn't like it, and they didn't want to hear it. So I'm not going to sugarcoat anything. I'm not going to coddle you. I'm not. And the other person that was sponsoring them wanted them to open up this big book. But this person had a problem with it. And at the end, when I told this person, I said, you have the syndrome of you're not that bad. You have the syndrome of you're not that bad. I said, if you're not that bad, why are you talking to me? And why are you going to meetings? I said, something's going on. I said, but until you can really figure it out, or you want to sit and listen to someone that's telling you what it is, I said, I need to move on. And this is not a salad bar. I'm going to pick and choose what I want. I'm going to make my plate real nice and neat. It's just not like that. I was told I have to be all in. I have to be all in. I have to take the suggestions. I'm going to hear a lot of things I don't want to hear about me. Of course, a person doesn't want to hear that we have outright mental defects. 6-step character defects. One lady said, no, I was just a defect trying to find a character. And it's really true. The mental peculiar twist. The disease is centered in our mind. It's not sitting in the chair next to us. It's not outside doing push-ups. I don't know where the people get that stuff from. It's right here in my mind. My disease talks to me in my own voice at times. That's why I make meetings, because in between I'm trying to figure it out, and I don't need to try to figure anything out. And he talks about this the thinking, and he said that we could not control our drinking just because we were maladjusted to life. And yeah, I was maladjusted. I was. I didn't have any coping skills. And I'm thank God for that right there, maladjusted to life, because then see, we have that chapter, there's a solution. So we know that there's a solution. So we know how to cope with life. And if you go through this big book, it will tell you more about alcoholism. This, that, the other, this, that, the other. It tells you, takes you through your whole alcoholism. And you can't say you don't see yourself in one of those pages. Even in the stories, you can't say that you don't identify. You can't. You just cannot. We're not unique. We think we are, but we're not. So I'm just grateful for this, because this gets to like the root of the problem, the mental part of it. Thank you for letting me share.
Thanks, Linda. Glad you're here. Come on in, Scuba Pickle.
Hey, I'm Larry. I'm an alcoholic. I think back and at the end of my drinking career, I look and I was surrounded by a lot of people. When I began my drinking, for sure, during the I'd always start my night out in the bar, and with people that drank just like I did. And then I'd go to the casino, and I continued to drink most of the night, and then I'd go into work after casino closed. I'd go straight from the casino to, and as this progressed, I I I couldn't see that I wasn't any different than anybody else. I drank around people that drank like I did. In my opinion, when I looked at myself, I drank just like the people I drank with, except for they didn't drink all night and they didn't leave the establishment to go to work, you know. And, uh, but in my mind, I drank like everybody else did. And when those people, began to say, Larry, you might think about slowing down drinking. That just did not register well with me. It just didn't. But I began to think about a little bit, and I began to understand that that well, maybe I'll do this and maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll not drink cheap stuff. Maybe I'll go to more expensive stuff. I do different. Try this, try that, and maybe I won't drink quite as much. Tonight, I promise I'll stop drinking at a certain time instead of drinking all night long. I made a lot of stuff, promises to myself, but I never kept much. Never kept those promises. What I ended up doing, if I stopped drinking at a certain time, I enhanced them with something else that I had, to keep me going. I was out of control. My mind and body was completely, and that's what this book is saying. But see, I couldn't tell that my body was out of control until somebody mentioned it, until somebody that drank just like I did mentioned it. I had no idea that maybe my body was out of control. But I did not have any desire to stop drinking. But I had an idea that maybe there was a problem. And, but that didn't mean that I had a desire. That didn't mean that I wanted to stop. But thank goodness that I found Alcoholics Anonymous, and the solution found me, and I found the solution. And today, the solution has been part of my life for the last 15 years. That's all.
Thank you, Larry. Glad you're here. And the fireman is in the house. Welcome, my friend.
Hello, everyone. Big alcoholic. Glad to be here. I can't attend this like I used to, but you guys thought of all the time. I keep this meeting ID close. I thought I lost it one time, but when I found it, I rewrote it down in a few pages here. So when I can come to it, I come to it. This is a chapter, but we didn't read the chapter. I try to put my share of what we read on my fourth big book meeting this week. It's only Tuesday. It's where I put myself. It's the guy that came into Alcoholics Anonymous back in the day. You know, I had a sponsor who stuck by me. He stuck by me. He never told me I wasn't ready to come back when I'm ready, because I wasn't acting ready. I wasn't acting willing. I was exactly what this doctor says an alcoholic is, why he drinks the way he does, and I wouldn't accept any of it. You know, I would, trying to silence this thing. Okay, silence. Being maladjusted to life. I remember his stuff. I got a peanut allergy, I tell him. I got a peanut allergy. I don't eat peanuts. I can't have nuts. I said, how can this be an allergy? All I do is drink more of it. And he says they all have different reactions, and this is the way we react to drinking, us when we drink. I too have the friends. I got friends today who are retired just like me, who no longer drink the way they do. Why? Because they are grandpas, they are great-grandpas. They love the life they have today, so they just don't drink like they used to. I've been with a couple of them maybe in the last year or so. Boston Burger, when I take a ride up, go to Boston Burger. One orders a beer, he's done. Another one orders a second beer when we leave before that's finished. These are guys that could drink weekends away, take a trip up to Maine, go down the Penobscot River for the weekend, and I don't remember a lot of it, but they said I went down that river, that rapid. They remember every minute of it. I can't because of the way I drank. Today I solely accept this man's opinion. I no longer try to test it out. I no longer, it's a lot easier to share on this chapter, on this story, because of the following pages. But like I say, I'm a guy that likes to stick to what was read. The doctor's theory. Today it does interest me. And when I've had sponsees that I no longer sponsor. It wasn't my decision. I have sponsees that are sober today and working with others. But this is a chapter I spent time with when I first started working with somebody. Young man came to me a few days ago and says, hey, can you sponsor me? A man with 3 years sobriety. Well, he's working on his third year, hasn't done the steps yet. And I thought I knew somebody that took him through the steps. Goes to show how much I know still. I gladly jumped at the opportunity. And this is what we're on right here. I'm trying to explain what this means to me today. First, another thing I'll never forget, one of your co-founders that kept telling me to come here. It's still the only big book I know, a group that does the questions and answers. I go to others, they may read a bit, share, and I'll read the whole story. But for me, I need to go through these pages all the time because it keeps me here. I want to keep coming back for more. I remember when I drank, I wanted to keep going back for more. Today, I keep coming back for more of this. God has put me in a life today that when I retired, some years ago. I had a year, and I thought I was walking, and I'm going to walk into the gates of hell, never to be able to drink throughout my retirement. I was ready for a long, boring retirement. Man, am I wrong? I'm glad I was wrong. So, anyways, yeah, I'm gonna come. I'm gonna come again. I love to be here every Tuesday night like I used to be, but I stayed home tonight because I didn't have a commitment elsewhere. So I said, "Oh, let me go here." Thank you for being here, guys. Good to see you all again, all of you. Good to see you all. Thank you.
Good to see you, brother. Gandalf the Red Pickle, come on in.
Well, I don't want to jump in line. You had your hand up first.
It's okay.
Oh, you do. Okay. I am Gandalf the Red Pickle, other known as AKA Donald, but, I am still an alcoholic, and I'm a pickled alcoholic. But, one of the first things that I ever do and stuff with my new sponsees and stuff when I first start working with them, that's their first assignment. Read the doctor's opinion. Because throughout history, throughout science, throughout medical field, and all the Mensa people, yes, Mensa are the brainiacs, and but anyway, they could not, of the times, or throughout history, been able to figure out how to deal with alcoholism. And this book right here, it gives us hope because we have a way to get through this, to get over this, to take our lives back, and to have a doctor who, is a scientist, say that we can't do nothing about it, but you know what? Hey, there is something that can be done. And it's something of the supernatural or preternatural or metaphysical. It's something beyond what science can do. It's stated in a couple of places in the big book, that science may accomplish this one day, but it hasn't done so yet. And you know what? In the last 90 years, they still haven't done it. Yeah, they've come up with some kind of pill or medication that will make us deathly sick from it. But that's just a chemical reaction. It's not dealing with the ism. We come to find out that the ism was that we sabotage ourselves. Or at least I do. I sabotage myself. And that's what I did. All the times that I was pointing my finger at everybody else, in my mind, was lashing out because I needed help and I didn't know where to get it, or I just didn't want it. My alcoholism was telling me that I didn't want it, but I actually did. So, yeah, I'm going to continue doing my assignments like this because it gives me hope that there's nothing else out there that can work like this. So, God bless you guys. I don't want to take up too much more time.
Thank you. Georgina, go ahead and come in, and Kenny, if you wanted to share, come after Georgina.
Hello, everyone. My name is Georgina, and I'm an alcoholic. Thank you for such a great meeting. I love coming here on Tuesdays. I learn so much from you guys and all of you shares and everything. when I read and when I read the doctor's opinion, because I do that, because I'm new to the literature. You know, I've been in and out the rooms, but I never picked up that book and really focused on it. That's why I'm doing a lot of big book studies, meetings. It's very important. And when I read that, it confirms to me that I'm a sick woman. That's what Dr. Silkworth tells me. I'm sick. I'm an alcoholic. And I'm sick mentally, physically, and spiritually. And for me to get better, I have to do what Bill W. did, basically. You know? And it helps me with my recovery because I know that I'm just not crazy. You know, I'm like, why I keep picking up this drink? Why I keep relapsing? I know better. I could understand. Am I hard-headed? Am I ignorant? But no, I'm sick. The doctor says so. I'm sick, and I need to do whatever it takes to attack my sickness, to be in remission, right? Because right now I'm 2 months in it. It's just so new. Like, congrats to all the ladies. 2 months. You know, we're in a 2 months crew. But that's what Dr. Silkworth, when I read the doctor's opinion, that's what it says. Maybe I'm wrong, but it just confirms that I'm just a sick alcoholic. And I need to keep coming back. I need to keep coming back. I need to keep learning. And I have to stay teachable. And I learned so much. And once again, I want to say thank you to all of you for having this meeting and teaching a newcomer like me what this, and going page by page of of the big book. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Georgina. Glad you're here. Kenny, come on in.
Yeah, good evening, everyone. My name is Kenny. I'm alcoholic. The doctor's opinion makes perfectly good sense to me. You know, I've been in and out the recovery so many times, you know, and this is the longest I've ever stayed, you know, and I understand that, you know, when I read it, I think about the effect of what happens. I take a drink, and it's like a switch goes off, you know. I don't know how it happens, but the switch goes off, and I want another drink. Then I say, okay, that'll be it. But once that switch goes off, I'm no longer in control. You know, I'm gonna go until my pockets are dry. Then I'm gonna find another way to continue living the way I'm living. You know, I'm gonna chase it into the better ends. I'm gonna beg, borrow, steal, do whatever I got to do, and it's an ugly existence. You know, but I see the physical manifestation of it, and later on, as we read, I know we're gonna go into the mental, but I understand that my body is just as crazy and out of sorts as my mind, and that's why I need a power greater than me, greater than Kenny, combine to combat this thing that's been controlling my life for so many years. You know, life has gotten good now. You know, I got over 6 years. I mean, I've never been sober this long before. And I know it's just a day at a time. I know I have to keep on doing what I'm doing. I have to keep making me. I have to keep trying to help the guys that I try to help. And it's sad. It's like every time I get a sponsee, they don't stick around. But I stick around. So I identify what Bill said. You know, I would go to my sponsor and I would tell him, and he told, you know, he would tell me, just continue trying to be helpful, you know. One guy asked me to be his sponsor, and I tried sponsoring him, but he wouldn't listen. So I didn't cut him off completely. I just told him I could only be his friend, you know. And I text him every morning. Sometimes he texts me back, but I keep the door open, you know, because you never know. He might wake up one day, and I want to be able to be of help to him, so I don't give up on him. But I don't waste time trying to preach to him, you know. I just be his friend, greet him in the morning, tell him to have a great day, and once in a while I hear back from him, and that's enough for right now. Thanks for letting me share.
Thanks, Kenny. Glad you're here. Come on in, toe tapping.
Hey everybody, I'm Trish. I'm an alcoholic. And you know, when I came in here, I could really relate with the line talking about we couldn't control our drinking, or it didn't satisfy enough to know we could not control our drinking just because we were maladjusted to life, that we were in full flight of reality and were outright mental defectives. I didn't know that alcoholism was a disease. I couldn't understand, I couldn't grasp that. You know, I went through a gamut of sponsors in the beginning, and none of them ever referred me to this part in the book. And growing up, there was so much judgment. And I grew up north and going to visit the relatives and the aunts and uncles in New York City. I was always pointed, don't be like those bums in the Bowery. No thought on it's a disease, it's an allergy. And I think it was years I had in the program before that clicked. And now, like a lot of other people have said, I make sure that this is one of the first chapters I go to when I'm reading through the book with somebody new. And I love the fact that it talks about an allergy. I don't process alcohol like other people do, any more than if I had an allergy to bananas or strawberries or poison ivy or something else. I would avoid that stuff. But my brain tells me, oh, it's okay, you can do it this time. But that is so far from the truth. And, you know, I could never get that. And I never heard that when I was so early in the program. So seeing in all of our 60-day celebrants right now, hearing it, getting it, understanding it, you know, I love that. I was just convinced when I came in and before I came in that I was just plain nuts, and it was my job to try to act as normal as possible so nobody else would catch on to it. And finally realizing that this was a disease and there wasn't anything that I was doing or not doing to cause my alcoholism other than continuing to drink, was such a relief. And recognizing I didn't have to fight anymore. All I had to do was read this book and follow the directions in it. And, you know, like I said, I didn't have anybody at that point who got me into the book. But I went to big book meetings. I grabbed what I could. I got involved in service. But finally sitting down and reading this chapter and now being able to pass on to other people what I learned in that chapter and what's in there is life-saving. It's life-saving to me, and I love reading through it with other people and watching those light bulbs come on in their eyes because, you know, the lights are on in somebody's home, which is absolutely wonderful. And I will pass the torch to Alyssa.
Come on in, Pinky.
Thank you, Alyssa, recovered alcoholic. You know, this part of the doctor's opinion actually gives me hope because, you know, I couldn't understand. I was successful in everything I was doing. I couldn't set down the drink. And everybody thought I was hopeless. And to read, and I'm so thankful that I've had sponsors that know where the directions are, because now, like, the directions are outlined in the big book, Alcoholics Anonymous. I don't need another book. And if I try to get cute, then I'm trying to play God, and I don't want to do that, you know. And it kind of aligns with the third tradition. What Art said is, you know, it's all inclusive, never exclusive, and the only requirement for membership is a desire to stop drinking. But we don't even have to put that on them. You know, if we know they have a problem and they keep coming, we love them until they can love themselves. I have to so freely give away what was so freely given to me if I want to continue to receive the promises of this way of life. I can't get cute and say, oh, well, I'm going to do this because wouldn't that be cool if I put my own way in there? Like, no, that'll kill me. That'll kill me or somebody else. And, you know, this is a disease of life or death. And my little guy is rooming in the background, if that's what you're hearing. But you know what? That's a gift of sobriety, because my disease wanted to take every one of my little ones, you know, and I get to have them here with me, right nudged up to me at 104-degree weather, and I'm thankful for that, you know, because the disease doesn't want me to have any of that. And if I don't give it the proper medicine, then I am going to be isolated. I'm going to be alone, and it's going to overtake me. But because I've been given the solution and the program of action, I don't have a life today that's beyond my wildest dreams. And it's not because of the things that I have. It's because of who I allowed to lead my life, and that's my higher power. You know, I'm not going to get ahead in the reading, but the doctor's opinion is amazing. But this first part, I remember the first time I read it, and it just gave me so much hope. Because my doctors tried to throw pills at me. I've taken every medical thing that you could think of to make you sick, like, or stop cravings, or, you know, I did all of that. The only thing that worked is when I grounded myself in a power greater than myself. And it still works today, and it's absolutely amazing. And I don't want to change anything about the message. I just want to give it freely away so that I can continue to receive it. And, you know, that's huge for even me to say, because it was always about what can I bring to the table, and how can I make this unique, and how can I be a part of, you know, but I just have to follow the directions, maintain that relationship with my higher power, you know, and continue to grow through the opportunities that I get every day. You know, I don't have problems or difficulties. I get opportunities. If you start hearing me say I have problems, then I'm not working my program, because I get to grow through what I go through. And I may not like it at the moment, specific moment, but it's always worth the outcome. And so, you know, I'm recovered today based on the maintenance of my spiritual condition. I'm never cured. So, you know, the exciting thing is that I get to wake up and do this all over again tomorrow. And it's going to be even better than today. So thanks for letting me share.
Thank you, Alyssa. Grateful you are here. Good evening, family. My name is Jamie. Very grateful, recovered alcoholic. I'm so glad that all of you are here, and that you are beginning this journey with us, whether it is the first time that you're doing it with us, or if you are with us for our 4th season in our 5th year. I'm going to say this first. I don't use any book but this book, the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous, to take another alcoholic through the steps of Alcoholics Anonymous. Why? Because it's the only place that the directions actually exist. All of the other stuff, 12 and 12, and all of the other writings is more information, but the directions are here. And the co-founder of this group was mentioned earlier by the fireman. And that man and I used to sit down for hours and hours and read this book together and come to greater understanding of it. And the doctor's opinion is all part of it. I will say this, we just spent the last 4 weeks going through the preface and the forewords. That's where I begin when I start working with someone new. Because if we don't understand our history, it is liable to become our future. And that is a fact for alcoholics like us. I give out big books to my doctors, to mental health care providers with suggested reading, and some of that suggested reading happens to be the doctor's opinion. And the reason that I do that is because I believe that Silky still knew more about alcoholism in the 1930s than medical science does today. Sure, we know all kinds of stuff today, like the effect it has on our livers, and it makes us jaundice, and how it fires on the neurons in the brain. But absolutely none of that stuff tells me why I drink. None of it. And tonight, it's defined. There's 3 ideas that are defined tonight. One is spiritual malady, the other is mental obsession, and the most important one, the physical allergy. Now, here's just a question, because I'm a guy who likes to think outside of the box a little bit. Do serial killers have mental obsession? Sure they do. But they probably ain't alcoholic. Do serial killers have a spiritual malady? Well, I would think so. But they're probably not alcoholic. I don't know if there's such a thing as allergy to murder. There could be, but there's certainly a mental obsession with it. And because I've got a mental obsession doesn't necessarily make me an alcoholic. Because I have a spiritual malady doesn't necessarily make me an alcoholic. Those are things that go with chronic hopeless alcoholism. But there's something that definitely makes me an alcoholic. And it was mentioned, and it's the allergy. So as I hold up the world's smallest shot glass, from the time I take the first sip of the first one of these, somewhere between the first one and the bottom of the second one, the physical allergy is going to kick in. The phenomenon of craving is going to come in, and all of a sudden these will turn into 12 ounces, then 16, then 24 packs and pints and fifths and whatever I can get my hands on it. And I don't know when it will stop. I have absolutely no idea, and I have no idea how to stop. The great thing about our book, I've been through it a number of times, and maybe some of you have too. I have never found the page that says, Jamie, this is the page you put the drink down on. Jamie, this is how you stop. Jamie, today you stop. What our book has done is it's led me on a spiritual journey that has enabled me to not pick up the first thimbleful, because that's where it all starts for me. It starts with the first one, not the 4th, 5th, 10th, 20th, or whatever, more days on end. So, again, I believe that Silky's understanding of the disease is so much greater than what medical science is today, because if medical science had a better answer today, especially the way our GSO works, well, somebody'd write a PAI to take the doctor's opinion out of the book, and we've got the new updated 2025 version of what alcoholism really is. Boy, you know what? You're going to kill a whole bunch of alcoholics if you do that. Our book was written for the chronic, hopeless alcoholic. And we begin to discover, through the doctor's opinion, what chronic, hopeless alcoholism really is. And I love here in the beginning where he says, a man of great earning potential, competent businessman of good earning capacity, was an alcoholic of the type I had come to regard as hopeless. So I'm going to touch on this real quick, even though it's not part of what we read, but it's all pertinent. And we'll come across it later in the book, but it's relative to the doctor's opinion. Roland Hazard was being treated by Carl Jung for a while over in Europe, and Jung pointed out to Roland Hazard that he had a spiritual malady and a disease that he believed that only a spiritual experience could conquer. I'm just paraphrasing that. And Roland brought it to Ebby. Ebby brought it to Bill. Silky did not have the spiritual malady part of it yet. He had the mental obsession and he had the physical allergy, but he didn't have the spiritual malady part of it. So through that chain of people, Bill took it to Silky and to Dr. Bob. And we have the birth of Alcoholics Anonymous. You know, y'all can use whatever literature, whatever you want to help another alcoholic recover. But in my experience, I ran a lot of people down a lot of rabbit holes trying to use anything other than the big book. And here's something I don't do anymore. I used to do this all the time. Walk into a meeting. Hi, my name's Jamie. You got a big book? No, you don't have a big book. Here, let me give you a big book. Here's my number. Read this, call me. Never hear from anybody. You know what? God bless them, we don't even bother to find out if somebody can read or if they struggle with reading today. So when I work with others, and there's 2, 3, 4 here at least, they call me and we read the book and we go through it line by line from the beginning. And if you don't have anybody who will do that with you, you're welcome to call me and I'll help you go through the big book line by line and help you understand it. Not so much the way I understand it. There's a lot of things in it that I can explain, but to help you find your own understanding and find yourself in this book. I am an alcoholic of the hopeless, chronic variety. I should not be sitting here tonight. I should not be sober tonight. In about 37 days, I'll be able to celebrate another birthday if I don't pick up a drink. But it is not normal for an alcoholic like me to be sitting here sober in a meeting of Alcoholics Anonymous, with the exception of I have had a spiritual experience and spiritual awakening through the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous, found the God of my experience through the big book of Alcoholics, found a relationship with myself through the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous. And it all started by understanding the doctor's opinion and how vital. I don't believe our program would work. So some of you are new, and I can think of at least 3 of you, and I don't know where your sponsor's at, and I'm not going to derail you from where your sponsor's at working with you, but I will tell you this, that the doctor's opinion and the first 43 pages are about one thing and one thing only, 51 pages in all, about step 1. More pages dedicated to step 1 than any other step in the book. And I promise you that if you will fully acquaint yourself intimately with these pages, And where possible, you read it in the first person instead of the we. I have to remember the we is the first 100 giving us their experience. But I was told in Alcoholics Anonymous to find myself in this book. So I read it in the first person. And I am going to jump fast forward a little bit because doctor's opinion is part of it. Doctor's opinion in the first 43 pages. If when I get to page 44, there's two statements that I turn into questions. If when I am drinking, I cannot stop on my own. Or if when I am drinking, I have no control over the amount I take, I am an alcoholic. I have just qualified myself and I need to get my happy ass off the fence and out of the debating society because it's time for me to move on with the program that will save my life. Here again, lots of people have mental obsession. Lots of people have spiritual malady. But when I got to the rooms of Alcoholics Anonymous, I had those two things coupled. Very much like train cars, if you will. Coupled with the allergy. Was the allergy the engine? And the spiritual malady the caboose? The mental obsession the middle car? I have no idea. I know that they are all coupled together. And I know without this chapter, I'm a dead man. It is a joy and honor to sit down and take somebody through this work and to help them understand that, to understand this book. Here we are 90 years later, and this book is still saving lives more than anything else in this world. Thank you. Okay, Trish, no more hands, so.
So from page 164 of our book, our book is meant to be suggestive only. We realize we know only a little. God will constantly disclose more to you and to us. Ask Him in your morning meditation what you can do each day for the man who is still sick. The answers will come if your own house is in order. But obviously you cannot transmit something you haven't got. See to it that your relationship with Him is right, and great events will come to pass for you and countless others. This is the great fact for us. Abandon yourself to God as you understand God. Admit your faults to Him and to your fellows. Clear away the wreckage of your past. Give freely of what you find and join us. We shall be with you in the fellowship of the Spirit, and you will surely meet some of us as you trudge the road of happy destiny. May God bless you and keep you until then.
Thank you so much, Trish. Thank you for everyone for being here and participating in tonight. We got a real special way of closing out, and I'll get to that in just a second. What I do want to share with you is that here in the United States alone, 263 people will die of alcoholism one way or another today. 95,000 throughout the year, and 3 million worldwide. And there's a percentage of those folks who have been into the rooms of Alcoholics Anonymous and didn't want what we have. If you haven't seen somebody for a while, it doesn't hurt to reach out and send them a message and say, hey, I was just thinking of you. We're still here. If you need help, I'm happy to help. We got a real special way of closing out. Since we can't circle up like we do in bricks and mortar, we virtually hold our hands together. And it's just another way of connecting. And after a moment of silence for those who are sick and suffering and going to die of this disease today, please join me in the Lord's Prayer, and you're welcome to unmute to do that. So here's your moment. Thank you. Who will take us from shame to grace if we let Him? Our Father,
Our Father,
who art in heaven, hallowed be thy
Follow
name.
thy name.
Thy kingdom
Kingdom
come,
come.
thy will be done
Done.
on
On
earth
earth
as it is in heaven. Give us this day
Take our
our
daily
daily
bread.
bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive
As we
those
forgive those who trespass against us.
And
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 lead
lead
us
us
not
not
into
into
temptation,
temptation,
but
but
deliver us
deliver
from
us from evil.
evil.
For thine is the
Thine is
kingdom
the
and the
Thine is the
power
kingdom,
power,
the power, and the glory,
forever.
forever and ever. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you,
Good night,
folks.
everyone.
Thank
Love
you.
you all.
Thank you,
Rick,
everyone.
Rick, good to see you,
Thank
brother.
you.
Congratulations.
Good to see everybody.
Be careful in this heat. Be
Congratulations.
careful in this heat. For everybody that's in New York, be careful in this heat. It went up to 98 degrees. Be careful.
Wow, it's
Good
all
night.
across America.
Yeah, let's